all of us, to put our hand together as we acknowledge Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, who is the Prime Minister of our Federation. I will acknowledge, of course, the board, general manager and the management team, of course, the Director of Social Security, and I cannot but acknowledge Permanent Secretary Simpson Brown. In the audience, let us give her a big hand. You see, you should appreciate that for 22 years, Mrs. Simpson Brown served the institution NHC in various capacities, including, of course, as general manager. But as life would have it, her work has called her to higher heights. She has been now taking on the challenge, the significant challenge of one of the most powerful ministries in the government, the Ministry of Sustainable Development. And I can tell you, that ministry will demand much more of her than what NHC will demand of her. And I know she will deliver. I know that she will deliver. This afternoon, I want today to be different. Because as we stand on this land and look across the sea, the Atlantic Sea, it is such a picturesque sight that it warms my heart just to know that ordinary poor people can own land with good sea vision, with good vision of the sea, getting all the breeze from the Atlantic Ocean. It warms my heart. It warms my heart that poor people can now own land in this country. It is important for you to remember that it was only 50 years ago that you were put by the gut side to live on houses and nags. Today, you're on the prime land of this country with concrete housing, quality bedrooms fit for kings and queens. Ordinary poor people could not live here in the past. This was for cane production. You had to live by the gut side. So today, when we give each person, deliver to each person a home on land such as this, consider it a hand up. Consider it a major investment, giving you an opportunity to own property on prime land. I began there because back in the 70s, no less a person than Prime Minister, he was Premier then, I'm sorry, His Excellency Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, acquired all of the lands, the sugar lands, on behalf of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Let us give Mr. Bradshaw a hand. He might be dead, but let's give him a hand. The acquisition of those lands in 75 was a signal decision, an important decision. Why today we can sit here and stand here and live here because of that decision. That decision was further strengthened when in the 1980s, 86, 87, a government in power led by Kennedy Simmons, our national hero, paid $22 million for these lands. Some of you may not be aware of it. $22 million for these lands. We have made more than that 10 times over. And because of that decision today, we can pass title unto you, unto ordinary citizens of this country. I mention it because as we speak, the People's Action Movement, of which I'm a part, we are celebrating 55 years as a party this month. 55 years this month. In fact, on Sunday, We will celebrate in a church service at the Bethesda Moravian Church at 9:30 in the morning. Who can come? Let me see you there. Because you have to give support to your partner in government. The period that Pam spent in government, and that's why I say it will be different. The period that Pam spent in government, some significant decisions have been made that are fueling economic activity today. Let's not lose sight of that. The abolition of personal income tax in the 1980s was such an important decision that is affecting economic activity today. Can you imagine that there was a regime of taxes in the day where when you get to $2,000 a month, your income tax would be 55%. It means anybody over $2,000, 55% of your income would have been paid in personal income tax. That was abolished by the People's Action Movement. It means you have more money in your pockets. It means you can spend more on the things that you really need. It also means you can save, for those of you who don't like to save. And then Pam made another seminal decision. Reduce the voting age to 18. That was such a huge decision, giving young people a say in their own country. Today you take it for granted, but if you were not 21 before 1983-84, you could not vote. The vote you have today, take it seriously in support of this Team Unity administration. We can't go back to the past. During that same period in the 80s, we saw small business development that was second to none. If you doubt me, pay attention, because in the 80s, small hotels were being owned by local people. Sun and Sands was locally owned. Gateway Inn was locally owned. Boardwalk Beach was locally owned. Frigate Bay Beach, locally owned. Fisherman's Wharf Apartments, just to name a few. In other words, the 80s saw the development of small businesses in the country, where local people became owners of businesses in this country. That was one of the solid decisions of a Paminaki government at the time. But then that's not all. Because it was a dream of Kennedy that we saw Port Zante, which is today bringing in 1 million tourists into this country. Port Zante was a dream that has huge economic impact today on the lives of many persons, especially those who are in the service industry. But that's not all. We saw Southeast Peninsula Road. It was described as a road to nowhere. But today is the road to everywhere. Because as we speak, there are several small boats that ply the waters between St. Kitts and Nevis almost every half hour. That is because there was a vision to establish a road from Frigate Bay to the Southeast Peninsula, known to us as Kennedy Simmons Highway. But that was not all. 1984, there was the establishment of a citizenship by investment program. That citizenship by investment program was the first in the region, perhaps the first in the world. We are leaders, and we led in 1984 with a citizenship program. And as a result, today, that same citizenship program is what is driving a lot of economic activity in St. Kitts and Nevis today. You think you doubt me? Why you think we have such a great peace initiative today? Thanks to the citizenship by investment program, we could support the work of those who were doing crime. Important decisions by government that you elect. In other words, electing the government that makes decisions that improve the quality of life of all of us is an important decision. 20 years after that, we saw our country almost ruined by debt, owing IMF. Public servants can't get increments. I don't know you had land for debt swap. If you had money with the government, they tell you, you lose half, and the other half you will get in 40 years. That was what you had in 20 years of Douglas. Today, we are led in a coalition by one of the brightest persons today given to us by God himself, Dr. Timothy Harris. Dr. Harris leads a coalition of three parties: the People's Labour Party, the People's Action Movement, and the Concerned Citizens Movement. These are led by three gentlemen who are thinkers, who have great imagination, who have plans that can benefit, that can improve the quality of life of every citizen in this country. We have replaced the partisan politics with a group of individuals leading three teams that understand that their own personal agenda is less than the agenda of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Put aside partisan politics, come together and form a government that will deliver for every man, woman, and child in the country. That's why I want to also take a moment, while I thank Dr. Harris for his leadership, to also thank the Honorable Sean Richards, and to also thank the Honorable Mark Brantley for their leadership as well. We are a government shaped in the words of Shakespeare, for there is divinity that shapes our end. This decision that we made 5 years ago was godly divine. That is why I say there is a divinity that shapes our end. Don't take it for granted. God has not brought us this far to leave us now. And that is why I'm confident that in 2020, when the bell rings, the people will rumble. There is a divinity that shapes our ends. If it was not divinity, how else could you explain that Dr. Harris will realize that Douglas was no good and come and lead a group of people who are positive and who are doing great things in the country? That is divinity. How else could you explain it? How else could you explain it that Pam could say, we want to be in government? How else could you explain it that Pam could say, we have 4 seats and maybe we should have the Prime Minister? Because we understand the country is bigger than Pam, led by Harris. We have a great country. The country is bigger than man. The country is bigger than all of us and each of us. By country, I mean our people. The aspirations of our people, what our people deserve, is far greater than our individual things that we deserve. Country first. That's what we always say. We must live it the same way we say it. We have adopted a utilitarian principle in many decisions that we've made. It is a decision taken consciously by us to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people. That is utilitarianism. Not applied to everything, but in many things. Because we believe that the majority of people in the country should benefit from our stewardship. And that is why we adopt that fundamental principle. When we came together, we did not accept things the way they were. We did not accept debt uncontrolled. We did not accept crime out of control. We did not accept the fact that people's house was leaking and they had to put bucket on the bed. We did not accept that. We envisioned that things were wrong And we had a vision to put things right. And that's what we set about to do. It brought the best out of us. I like to refer to what the scripture says, because it calls on us when we have the world's goods, whether it is intellect, money, whatever is the world's goods, whatever you have is yours, You got dead, leave it. When you have the world's goods and you see your brother in need, you must show compassion on your brother. If you don't show compassion on your brother, God's love does not reside in you. So this government showing compassion. It is why we set up. How many people get a house roof fixed? Never in the history of St. Kitts have you seen that done. And it's the first time we had a hurricane. We went further. We decided when you live in a family and the household income is $3,000 or less, give you a top up of $500. Compassion. If you don't think it's compassion, this government have think about it. 40-something more young people would have already died if we did not help to find peace in this country. And it ain't just the death of the 40 people, Because some of them got young picnic. It means a picnic going up without father. Compassion of this government. That's what it is. We have, when we were formed, we asked God for wisdom. It's the same thing Solomon asked for. All that we want is wisdom. We ain't asked for no money. Look, you think he working for money? He working for only, his salary is about $6,000 when you take out what other people getting like him. Let me clear it up for you. Dr. Harris working for nothing. You all think he's joke I'm making, Whatever salary he getting, when you take out what the parliament salary portion is, with Douglas getting, and take out that amount what Douglas getting from what he getting, he end up with about $6,000. You got a big, powerful, intelligent man building up this country working for $6,000. We got to do something about that. You have to do something about that. Giving up his whole life, doing it for nothing, basically. And then some people, all they could do is criticize. I don't know what they're criticizing. So I'm saying to you that we are doing this, bringing service, because we believe that the people deserve the best from their leaders. We want everybody to climb to the top. That is what we aim to do. And there are two ways to get to the top. You have a party led by Douglas that wants to put down a rope and tell you, hang on, I can lift you up. You have a team unity administration that puts down a ladder and says, climb up. We encourage people to climb up. Because when a fella tell you, hold on to the rope, I can lift you up, you don't know if he can drop the rope. And you're going back to the bottom. So climb up. That's what the team unity says. When we give you a house today, we are putting you on one of the rungs of the ladder to climb up. That's what we're asking you to do. When you climb up, you value what you own better because you climb the ladder. That's what we want to encourage people in this country. We bring hope and opportunity. That's why we talk about climbing, working, investing in the youth. Let them start businesses. That's what we're doing. Today you might say it's about house. It ain't about house. It's about the development of every human being in this country. So we said today, you have an opportunity with this house that is being handed over to you to use in your future for any kind of investment. You could borrow against it. Borrow him to send your child to university when the time comes. It is putting a ladder for you to climb. That's what we are doing. And so today, with all the prosperity that we're having, and we're having plenty of prosperity, you know. I don't know what Labour was doing before under Douglas, because they were not showing prosperity at all. We have so much prosperity, Dr. Harris pay off all the debt to the IMF. That's prosperity. But don't let's take prosperity for granted. None of you take it for granted. Hear me now. Some of you are working for decent money. Even if it is minimum wage, it's still decent money because it comes from work. I am encouraging all of you not to spend everything that you get. Exercise thrift in everything that you do. It don't make sense to go downtown to go buy a higher purchase piece of equipment with 22% interest. That's not good thrift. It means you the poor paying more. It better you borrow the money from the development bank and pay 8% than to pay 22% on a higher purchase, and if you ain't paid it, take it and sell it. So exercise thrift in all of your affairs. Hear me now. This thing about thrift ain't the Eugene Hamilton thing, you know. This thing about thrift is transcribed in our Bible. Go to Genesis. Read the story of Pharaoh and his dreams. You know the story. I'm sure you went to Sunday school. In his dream, Pharaoh dreamed about the ears of corn and the fatted cattle, and those lean ones devouring those nice-looking ones. And all of Pharaoh's kings and all of Pharaoh's magicians and whoever he had could not interpret what the dream was. You know who interpreted the dream? It was a man who was in jail, sold in slavery by his brothers, and sitting in jail that came and interpreted the dream. And what did he interpret the dream to be? He said to the Pharaoh, look, there will be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. Ha! Pharaoh said, what? Well, guys, you know what I want you all to do? Build some more barns. We're going to store up 20% of the grain during those 7 years of plenty, so that when 7 years of famine comes, we have plenty to eat. Even Pharaoh's family, which was in a different land, came there to get food because Pharaoh had made the decision to be thrifty. You hear me? Thrifty. In other words, my brothers and sisters, you work for your money, you pay courts. I don't like to hear that, but anyway, you pay courts, you pay TDC, you're paying for 2 phones, Lime, and still the other one, maybe 3 sometimes. You're paying all kind of bills. What do you pay yourself? The way to pay yourself, I will tell you today, is to make sure at least 10 or 20% of what you work for is put aside for the rainy day. Hear me now. Like buying a property like this. Like buying some land. Like putting it in an account somewhere and don't trouble it. Don't lay burn your eye. Pay yourself by putting away something. There will come a day. There will come a day in your life when all of the glory and strength you have begins to wane away. And it is at that point that you will realize, I wish I had something saved. It is important for you to be thrifty and save. And that is my message to you. That's why I said here to be different today. I could talk about house. I'm talking about how you live your lives every day. How you live your lives and what you expect to get out of life. So I expect you today to begin to be thrifty. The guys who go down the road and buy a whole case of beers on Friday afternoon, buy 2. You don't have to drink a whole 24. What are you shying out for? Putting things in your body that are doing harm to you. What are you shying out for? Buying things you don't need. Using money you don't own. Buying things you don't need to impress people who don't like you. I'm saying to all of us today. Today is a day in 2020, the year of vision, I call it. 2020, when every one of you is called upon to recognize you have a good government. Let us return the team unity administration once more when the time comes. And for those of you who will get houses today, I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate you for being chosen to at least now have your own home. It means those of you who ain't get yet your time coming. Your time is next. Don't be jealous of the one who get today. Feel good for them. And so I pray today that in your home, you will put God at the center of your home. Put Christ at the center of your home. And may God continue to bless us all. Thank you.